that air purifiers are good for removing the particulate matter, but what about the harmful gases? Are there some instruments for that, or only plants are the solution?
So some air purifiers have certain broad spectrum gas filtration also. Very rarely do I see the right kind of gas filtration in an air purifier. Typically they'll just put simple active carbon and they'll say it removes VOCs and formaldehyde, and then some of them will put titanium dioxide with UV lights. Again, some of these technologies can be good at removing one thing, but as a byproduct they might produce two other things that are harmful to you. So you got to be very careful, especially UV and titanium dioxide. If done wrong, can actually produce ozone and other VOCs as a byproduct. So it has to be done very carefully and very right, and run very carefully so that it gives you the right results. And again, in a small machine, in a home, which as consumer wouldn't know how to run it for sure, and a manufacturer, a lot of these are just Chinese imports that are branded as a particular name and sold in India. And I've tested enough of them, and the horror stories that I have in my office, I've seen these. So I stay away from a lot of these technologies, and I like to keep it simple. Passive filtration, good high quality active carbon, broad phased gas filtration, and good HEPA or pre-filter technology for particulate filtration. And then lots of plants. Plants actually are magical when it comes to removal of VOCs and gases. That's what the plants are really good at. They're not very good at removing particulates, and we've got very high particulates. So you need an air purifier. But by itself, a plant won't be able to do all the job of air pollution cleaning in a room because the particulates are so high. So I'll give you an example. If you go outside at this time of the year, it hasn't rained for the longest time. Take a white tissue, wet it with a little bit water, and go to any tree outside on this campus and wipe any one leaf. And tell me what you see on that white tissue. It's going to be really dirty, right? Notice it. And when it rains, the first day that it rains, you see the shine of the green leaves, and you can smell that freshness. The plants are working for us after the leaves have been washed. It's like our nostrils. If dirt is stuffed in our nostrils, can we breathe? No, we can't. Right now, the stomata of the leaves are all stuffed with dirt. They are not doing anything for us. They're not helping us improve the air. But if you wash these down on the campus, if you have water availability, if you are if you are doing rainwater harvesting, and you can wash down your trees on a regular basis, you'll notice a huge improvement in air quality in this area.
So one more. Sorry, in winter season, Delhi faces a lot of air pollution problems. So the government urges us to use public transport like metros. But these metros, they require electricity to run. And in India, majority of electricity is coal-fired. So more electricity of using in metros, more coal needs to be burned. So is this a solution, or basically are harming the environment more by using these metros and all?
No, not at all. I am a big fan of the metro in Delhi, I'm a big fan of public transportation. And from a long-term perspective, one of the most critical things that we need to do as a city as an urban infrastructure is to create the right public transportation infrastructure. We need 10,000 more buses in this city just to keep up with the kind of population that needs to move around in this city today. That's the number of buses that are needed today. So public transportation is the number one thing that we need to improve, so that people like me, I'm one to blame. I drive around in a car. I want to be able to reduce my car usage. I use the metro 2 days a week when I don't set up any meetings outside my office, and I sit in my office, I take the metro to work, and I take the metro back home. But the rest of the days when I have meetings, unfortunately the metro is not set up. It's crowded, the buses are ridiculously crowded, it takes the last mile connectivity is not there, it's really hard right now. But you need to create cities that not only have great public transport infrastructure, but great last mile connectivity, great places for walking at the edge. Coming back to your specific question about the coal-fired power plants, there are two parts to this. If you don't have metro and you don't have, let's say today it is connected to coal-fired power plants, but tomorrow there is the potential of moving to solar, right? And at the coal-fired power plant, you're centralizing your emission stack, and you can do the right thing to control the emissions that are coming from coal-fired power plants. But at the local level, it's much harder to do that. Instead of the metro, if all of those people came in individual cars, imagine how much more pollution there would have been. That is not controllable, and plus you are much closer from a proximity perspective to the car pollution with many more cars on the street versus the coal-fired power plant, which is much further away. So you're moving it from the tailpipe to the stack over there, but that's much better as a first step. But long run, we need to ensure that the stack is cleaned, and we need to ensure that we move from coal to better sources of fuel in the future. So let me ask you a question then. Which is better, 10 cigarettes a day or 2 cigarettes a day? Which is better?
2 cigarettes.
2 is better, right? It's the same thing. You know, people in India typically will ask me this question very regularly, that, you know, if I breathe clean air for 8 hours, my immunity will come down, and then I have to live in Delhi. When I go outside, I'll fall sick then. Very common. Every day I get this question. And the answer, and there's a reason why we ask that. As Indians, I think we're a little bit more careful because of our history with water. We used to drink, I grew up drinking water. First we used to boil the water, then there was this candle filter, and then this AquaGuard with the red light came, and then RO came. So we've moved from just plain boiling to candle filter to 3 candle filter to AquaGuard to now RO. And as we started drinking RO and got used to RO, if I drink normal water now, there's a high probability I will fall sick. So same thing, if I put an air purifier, then water though I can make sure, is it RO water, is it bottled water, I can stop, I won't drink water for 3 hours until I find clean water. But I can't stop breathing for 3 hours. What if I go outside, what happens to me? But the answer to that is very simple. Water, the reason why we don't fall sick after getting used to RO water is because our body's immunity against bacteria has come down. When we drink tap water regularly, our immunity against that tap water, that bacteria is high. But again, we have cholera in India. If you have bad water, really bad water, which bad bacteria, you can actually fall sick and even die. So that's why you want to have clean water, because you want to eliminate the chance of sickness or death. But some bacteria is good bacteria and you're building immunity against them. But that immunity goes away by drinking RO water. So then if you drink tap water, you can fall sick. But what a good air purifier, there's lots of air purifiers on the market that target bacteria and viruses. Be careful of those, because you don't want to live in a sterile environment. You just want to remove particulates and harmful gases. Particulates and gases are like cigarette smoke. The more you smoke, the more it accumulates inside and the more harmful it is for you. So if you can eliminate the smoke and the gases from the air, which are there right here, right now, you just can't see them, then your lungs will be better off. Your lungs will be stronger to fight the pollution the next day.
Suppose Indian government puts subsidy on these air purifiers, whatever. So the 15,000 cost will come to around 500,000. Every household means everybody has purchased and put it their house. So, do you think it's a solution?
No. The government should be spending on fixing the problem outside, not in subsidizing air purifiers. At most they can try and reduce the taxes. Right now it's still at 18% tax. Reduce that to 12, it'll make some difference to the consumer. But they're not going to subsidize an air purifier. Spend that money on fixing the problem. The problem is at source, not at making bandage solutions for removing pollution after it is created. Spend the money on fixing your oil refineries. Spend the money on improving public transport infrastructure. Spend the money on finding solutions for crop burning that are happening. Put the money in subsidizing the upgradation of your kilns that are using poor quality technology. That's where the government money should go, not in subsidizing air purifiers for people. That's a short-term band-aid. Fix the problem. Industry, enforcement, what Sir said earlier, ensuring that our industries are doing the right thing from a filtration perspective, whether it's air or whether it's sewage. Enforcement of the standards that are already there for industry. That's more important, and spending money there is more important today.
From my knowledge, it will take around, whatever the policy changes, it will take around 5 to 6 years. For time being now, say they put subsidies, and accordingly the consumption of electricity also required. So in India it's coal. Then whatever the balance is, it again increases.
See, what you're saying is absolutely not possible. How many people do you think would need to buy an air purifier? Even if the government says, okay, We are not ready to leave a LPG subsidy. You think the government will give us 10,000 rupees to buy an air purifier?
It will be the economic burden is there for
The-
the government.
the econom-
Right now, the government does not even have enough money to clear out the poverty in India.
Right.
And it's working a lot upon that. So, subsidizing air purifier is completely not an option.
So that's when air purifier is not the solution.
It's not even the right solution. Forget the economics. It's not the right solution. Fix the problem. Don't try to, like our current Delhi government wants to do spraying of water with helicopters, and those are band-aid solutions. After the problem has been created, we are trying to fix it. Stop trying to put band-aid fixes. Fix the problem. Go to the source and fix the problem. It can be done. It's unpopular. Unpopulous what you're going to do, but it needs to be done. Take a stand, be a man and do it. Stop coughing and wearing a muffler all day long. Fix your problem yourself.
But continuing about that, so do you think there is enough outrage against air pollution in, I mean, from your presentation it looks quite clear. I mean, the situation is quite grim. But in your experience and your, interacting with all sorts of members in our community, so is there enough outrage to begin with in our society among people? Do you find that?
In India, we have a very forgiving way of living. We forget very easily and very quickly. Every year we remember during winter when it hurts us, and as the problem gets better, not good, just slightly better after winter, come March, we forget about the problem. And for 6 months, we live as if the problem never existed. And then come October, we behave as if, oh my God, what's happened? It's never happened before. Why is this happening? What are we doing? What is my government doing? We don't want to have sustained action and sustained dialogue for the whole year to fix the problem. It's only those 4-5 months. And hence our government also says, ये 4-5 महीने है, चला जाएगा, सब चुप हो जाएंगे, 5 महीने जाने दो, कोई बात नहीं, देख लेंगे. That's what happens over here, unfortunately. So yes, we see enough action, enough dialogue, enough movement, but most of it happens during those 4-5 months. And part of the blame is also media. Every single day you will see articles on air pollution from October till March. April till September, hardly anything in the newspaper about air pollution. So it has to come from all sides, and it has to be sustained long-term action. We are sitting as part of Care for Air, it's advocacy, awareness and change. Those are our 3 mantras over there. So we've got 2 Supreme Court lawyers as part of the founding team of Care for Air. I've sat at the Supreme Court of India, Chief Justice Thakur sitting over there. I've shown him what is the air quality reading on a dust track inside the Supreme Court of India. And we continuously try and help everyone within that team understand what is going on. Mr. Salve, who's the amicus curiae on that case, is someone who's very passionate about this issue, and pro bono he's taken the entire case of air pollution, SC Mehta versus the government for the last so many years. And a lot of very passionate people are behind this, and we're trying to see what can be done. But it's going to take not just the Supreme Court of India, and this is one of the few countries in the world where the Supreme Court of India has to intervene in matters like this. The government has never spoken up. Our dear Prime Minister has not once talked about air pollution till now. He talks about Swachh Bharat. How can we have Swachh Bharat without clean air? Not enough outrage where I am concerned. It's there, but it's not enough. We need more. Till it's fixed, the outrage cannot stop.
For the sustainable future of the people who will be living here. But I wanted to ask, what kind of awareness program has your company or the NGO that you have been working upon has done for the community, because it's related to air quality? And in India, awareness is the thing that where I think there is a drop, that is people are not aware that they are living in such a extreme polluted environment and what they can do to actually prevent. So what your company or the NGO has done for that?
So that is, a lot of that work happens through the not-for-profit and personally myself, because we're just passionate about this issue. So starting with schools, we believe change happens at a very young age. Children can impact change. Children can change the behavior of parents. I can talk to parents all day long and we'll get no change in behavior. But if a child goes to their parent and says, don't do this, to a parent is much more likely to listen to their child. So we started at schools. We go and I talk to children in 2 schools every month. We go to hospitals and talk to doctors. Doctors in India are considered at a very high level. We consider them as somewhat godly, and people just listen to their doctors blindly for the most part. And so getting a lot of doctors unfortunately don't understand air pollution, and there's enough doctors over here who've said, oh, it's a Western conspiracy to sell more product, there's no real problem of air quality. So trying to educate those doctors to say there is a real problem, this is what it does, and helping them understand so that they can then pass on the right message to the patients is very important. So those are the 2 sectors we've taken on. We've worked with many security guard agencies, because one of the big sources of the problem we see is, the burning in the winter time. It's really cold outside. In Delhi, every colony, every bungalow, every building has security guards, and those security guards at night in winter need to stay warm. They are working all night long outside when it's cold in Delhi. Last week it come down to 3, 4, 5 degrees centigrade. And when they need to stay warm, what are they doing? They are finding coal, wood, paper, rubber, tires, anything they can get their hands on to burn to stay warm at night. Not only are they impacting themselves from a health perspective, but they are also impacting everybody within that neighborhood from an air quality perspective. So we talked to the largest security agencies of the country and said, can you give your security guards thermals? Can you as individuals give them potentially heaters or something? Heaters is debatable, because then they'll say, okay, again it's pulling power from the coal-fired power plants and creating the problem. But at least educate them, give them thermals, give them gloves, so that they need to use less burning. They may still want to burn on extremely cold nights, and it's inhuman to give them conditions that are not reasonable to do their work in. So you can't say don't stop burning completely, but at least we can reduce or as much as possible eliminate it. So these are the kinds of actions we've taken in creating awareness and actually taking on change. One more campaign we did was on multiple road intersections. We had a campaign where turn your engine off, right? If your red light, most of our red lights have the number of seconds before it's going to turn green, and if it's more than 12 seconds as a rule, I turn off my engine. And the new engines, a lot of people say, oh, if the engine turn off and on takes more fuel. No, it doesn't. If it's more than 12 seconds, it actually saves you fuel. So it's better for you, it's better for the environment, and it's better for everyone. So turn off your engine. So there's a big campaign we did across nearly 30 intersections over multiple weekends to tell people to turn off their engines. So there's multiple things. I mean, there's enough that can be done. There's so much more that can be done. It's just a matter of finding the right people who are engaged, who are passionate to come out and do it. Yes.
And once you trap those particles in the filters, they will get exhausted. The filters will get jammed, clogged. So you have to regenerate that filter. What is the mechanism you are using in the purifier?
The mechanism we use is take it out, throw it in the landfill,
okay, you have
and
to
put a new
replace
one.
the one.
But you're right, technology wise, we need to find better technology so that we can potentially either regenerate or do something. I have come across one, it's unfortunately under NDA, it's confidential, so I can't tell you the specific technology. But if it works, it would be brilliant, because now you could have one single filter that could last you for 10 years, right? So I know of people who are working on stuff like that, but that's what we need today. Today we are at an industry where it's extremely wasteful. I know of a school in Delhi where we are the solution partner for them, and they've got the last 150 filters, and these are big filters, the size of this table, this entire set, one filter is this size. They have close to 150 to 200 filters sitting in a room that are old black carbon filled filters, but they refuse to throw them because they don't want them burnt. So they're saying, what do we do with them? How do we responsibly dispose of them? There's no answer. None of the filter manufacturers in this country have set up anything to responsibly dispose of filters. And I am part of that problem. I am part of that industry who sells new filters. And I've taken it up with the industry and I said, we are a polluting industry. Those filters that come out of our machines end up going into the landfill and create a more problem. So we need to do something now to fix that problem. And we are setting up a gasification plant, hopefully in the next 12 months, to take those filters and responsibly dispose of them. But nobody wants to do that. I put a plant together. It costs about 1.82 crores of rupees to set up that plant. There are 50 players in the market, they are not ready to give 5 lakhs of rupees each to do it responsibly.
When you mentioned biomass burning, because now some people in Andhra or Maharashtra also, they have started using this biomass like dried leaves and this thing, grass and all that. So they are converting it into methodically into synthesis gas or say producer gas.
Absolutely.
And that they use for generating the power.
Absolutely.
So persons like you should encourage such technologies.
No, absolutely.
Business
So
people like you.
we are working with the European Union on a particular project where the waste to fuel in all the crop burning that happens, we are trying to see can we aggregate the waste and create biofuel out of it.
Yeah.
The
Gaseous
challenge
fuel.
is not the problem is not the capex. We've got governments ready to fund the capex. I've got somebody who's ready to give $2 million to set up that plant just now. The problem is in the OPEX. The plant, the business model is not self-sustaining even on an OPEX perspective, and that's where the problem comes. You got to transport the waste from the fields to that plant. You got to process that waste to make it fuel, and then you have to transport the fuel to the place where you're going to sell it. And the cost of transportation is what is killing the model today, and hence it's not a viable project. As a businessman, I have to come up with a viable project that makes sense economically also, and it has to be able to, you have to be able to make some money to sustain yourself as an individual. But if the project, and I say okay fine, there's capex and there's opex, ideally a project should be able to take care of both in the long run, but here we are saying we'll get the capex and give it to you as a grant for free. Even then it's not viable where this particular project is concerned. So we are struggling. We're still
Because
putting our heads together.
whatever people are burning like that, it produces carbon monoxide.
Along with many
and
other
hydrogen.
gases.
So carbon monoxide plus hydrogen, if you systematically trap that, that is a fuel. Actually. That is the concept behind that technology.
So you said, most time we tend to look beyond winter and then, situation gets better. But how much better, how bad or good are the levels during those good time of year?
So I told you, now in the US we're talking about numbers at 7 micrograms per cubic meter also have a health impact, have a health risk to us. During monsoons, when it's raining, the numbers over here are between 50 and 150. In the United States, if the number is above 50 micrograms per cubic meter, it is considered unhealthy, and they shut down the government and they shut down schools and they say stay at home, stay indoors and stay safe because it's above 50. Here in the summer and monsoons, it ranges from, sometimes it will get down to 10, 20, 30. Like last year we had 2 days in the green zone on average. Out of 365 days, only 2 days were under 50. All the other days on average were above 50. So you've got a huge problem on your hands, a very large problem when it comes to air quality. We are not understanding the gravity of it at all. Even a lot of people who work in this space don't understand the gravity of the problem, because the health impact is something we will see as a generation 30, 40 years from today.
And you said putting air purifiers at home helps. Do you think sealing the house can also help in addition to?
So that's an excellent question actually. You have to be very careful if you're going to seal the house. It's very important to have some sort of ventilation if you want to seal the house. If I don't have ventilation and I completely seal the house, then I'm accumulating carbon dioxide and volatile organic compounds like formaldehyde, acetone, acetaldehyde. There are 1200 different VOCs, and a lot of these are harmful, carcinogenic, cancer producing. So you don't want to trap them. And where do these come from? The paint, the wood, the furniture, cloth, fabric, everything gives out volatile organic compounds. So if you completely seal a space, you're trapping the VOCs and the carbon dioxide, and that is not good for human beings at all. So unless and until, the way we design homes, we seal homes when we are building them. But we are also creating ventilation systems where we're bringing in air from outside, filtering it through multiple layers of filtration, and then bringing it inside the house and flushing it. If you have a system like that, yes, by all means seal a house. We just worked on a house where the owner said, make me a house with not even one single openable window. So I never open a window. We're like, no, that we need to make sure you have windows from a safety perspective, fire hazard perspective, all of that. So we put a few windows, but very small windows just to pass code, but otherwise he doesn't want to open windows because I'm giving him perfect air quality inside that house. So as long as you're managing it right, great. But in a normal bedroom, if I start putting tape on all my windows to seal it and I put on an air purifier, that's not good. It will create another problem. You'll fix one problem of PM 2.5, but you'll create two other problems.
And in your talk, you talked about several health issues related to air pollution. But has there been a study where we have looked at the loss of in terms of human resource over time? I mean, is there any study done?
Lots of them. Lots of them, unfortunately not in India, and hence our government tends to say, oh, our Indian lungs are different than Western lungs, so we don't trust the Western studies. But in the West, enough studies have been done to show the health impact of all these pollutants on human health. In India, also some studies have been done to estimate the economic burden of air pollution, and the cost of the economic burden of air pollution is actually much higher than the cost of fixing the problem. So it's going to cost us 80,000 crores of rupees to upgrade all our refineries to produce Euro 3 or Euro 4 fuel and move them up to Euro 6 fuel. That cost of 80,000 crores is actually much less than the economic burden of air pollution on our country. If you take all the different issues and you add the cost of fixing the problem, it is still much less than the economic burden of air pollution. So they're saying that on average, just to give you an idea, they're saying that on average, a person living in Delhi loses 3 to 5 years of their life because of air pollution. Now, if I take 5 years of my life, for 5 years, how much direct and indirect taxes did I pay to the government? And now put that across an entire population. What is the economic burden of 5 years of everybody's life in this country from an indirect and direct tax perspective? Huge those numbers can be. Think about it. 5 years of direct indirect tax total of this country. What is the GDP of this country? Multiply that by 5 for 5 years. That is what your savings can be if you fix the air quality problem.
I mean, did you take any step to educate the government or tell the government that this is the issue and we really need to focus on it?
In different ways, in different forums, we've tried. We've had the teams from Delhi government come to our office. They came, to be honest, to give them the credit, they came with a very different opinion and view of air pollution, saying, this is the problem of you rich people. We have bigger problems to deal with the masses. This is not a problem of the masses. What you people are, why are you wasting my time? I don't have time. I have 30 minutes. I have to go. But because you talk to somebody, I'm here to talk to you. 4 hours later, that person left with a deeper understanding of air pollution and said, this is affecting the poor man on the street much more than it is affecting you.
Yes.
You can put an air purifier and protect yourself. But what about my vote bank? They cannot do much for themselves. We need to do something for them. So they left with an appreciation of the problem. But the solution is much bigger than one single state government to handle. It has to be handled in a larger, more systematic way, and unfortunately we're not seeing all the right parts move together. Hopefully we do. I believe there's a panel that has been put together by the Prime Minister to look at air pollution as an issue. It's brand new. They've put out a document which says these are the things that we would like to do. They've opened it out for public comment, which is due only, I believe, by the 15th of January. So that's a great first step, I believe. Finally, at the right level, somebody is taking it on and saying, this is a problem, what do we need to do as a city, as a country? Hopefully, we see real action from that. I am hopeful. I want this problem to be fixed, and I hope it actually moves forward.
Next thing, which you consider to be more appropriate for dealing with the air pollution, reforestation or technological advancement in air purification, or you are trying to fix the problem by making technological fixing of these pollution causing like industries or anything which is causing the pollution, like burning coal. So we're not going to stop all these things, but yeah, with the technological advancement, we can cut down the levels of air pollution. So do you consider that as an option for dealing with this problem, or reforestation or planting more trees?
That's a tough one. I would probably say it has to be a combination of both. It can't be one or the other. I think there's a place and a space for all the right things to be done. Afforestation is one part of it that we must always do. So I mean, on Earth Day, we called 40 different ambassadors to plant a tree in a park outside our office. And we take on tree planting drives all year long as part of the not-for-profit. Some of the money that we fund is for tree plantation drives. So that's definitely something we should be looking at. But we can't ignore technology, right? We have to reduce our dependence on coal and look at cleaner technologies as we move forward. I mean, I'm a big fan of the electric vehicle. I hope and believe I'm the first one who signed up for the Tesla Model 3 whenever it comes to India. It was a $1,000 deposit and I paid it. I said, whenever it comes, I got to get that car. And I've decided that till I find the right electric car, I'm not going to change my car again. I've already got 2 polluting vehicles. It's time to change one of my vehicles, but I'm not going to change it till an electric vehicle comes. And I hope the Delhi government doesn't say that a 10-year or 15-year-old vehicle has to be sold, even if it's running in good condition. Hopefully, I don't get to that stage. But technology will have to improve, where our population is increasing incredibly. And unless technology keeps pace with that, we're not going to be able to see all the benefits with just forestation.
Thank you.
That's my view, but I might be wrong on that, but that's my view on it.